Hello, hello. This is your host, Yutama, and welcome to My Food Lens podcast, where we talk about everything from food photography, styling, to business and mindset. After 15 years as an architect, I switched careers and I'm now a professional food stylist and food photographer based in Singapore. I'm also the founder of the business My Food Lens, where we help clients elevate their brand through drool-worthy photos. My motto is, put your best food forward. Well, here on this podcast, I promise to keep it raw and real and hope you find your answers, action, and inspiration as we move through the episodes. This is episode 7, and today we are talking about the first step to build a brand. Now, what is a brand? A brand is the perceived image of your product or service. And branding is the process of creating and establishing that image. So when you start a new business, or let's say you already have one, the most frequently used word is either invoice or branding, right? Because branding is your identity. It is how the world sees your business. Now, often when we hear the term branding, instantly we begin to think, colors and fonts and text and everything that is visually associated with our products. But that is not the first step. In fact, in my opinion, it is not even the most important step of branding. Now, before we go any further, I would like to clarify I am not a branding strategist of any sorts or by profession, but I have built a brand for my own company and I have built it from scratch. But today, my clients and my audience can identify my brand through the work that I do and the messaging that I put forth, which is why I wanted to share with you the first step to build a brand. And honestly, it has nothing to do with font color or size. You know what it has to do with? It has to do with you and you and you. You are the face, the mind, the brain, the heart, the soul behind your product and service. Your brand has to breathe you in and out. And what I mean by that is that you have to bring your true original self to the stage to build your brand. And you can only do that by knowing yourself. Knowing yourself is the number one step to build a brand. I know it might sound a little out there. I know. But I have seen, and even based on my own personal experience, I can tell you that just starting with a solid foundation of knowing who you are is the strongest way to begin building a brand, to really begin creating your presence and, to making a place for your business in the market. That is the way to start. And let's say, even if you don't have a business and you only create for a hobby, even then you can be a brand and have a strong branding because a brand ties into what you create and what you offer and how you do it, right? So let's talk about what it takes to know thyself. Yeah, that's what I call it. Know thyself. So the first question to know thyself is really, who am I? Question number 1, who am I? Well, it's super duper straightforward. All you need to do in this question is define your business or your hobby in one line, like literally one sentence. So for me, I have a background in architecture and it is a huge part of me and it is a lot to do with who I am today, which is why my one line is, I am an architect turned food stylist and photographer based in Singapore and also the founder of My Food Lens. Now, super duper easy, nothing complicated, crystal clear. I'm telling the world what I do. I'm bringing my past into it because it is a big part of me. I'm telling them where they can find me in Singapore. And I'm also telling them that I'm the founder of something else as well, which is my business, My Food Lens. So it's literally one line, one sentence, which sums up in the most crystal clear and the most uncomplicated way about who you are. Like that is step number one, define who you are. All right. Once we go past that, that's when it begins to get just a little bit more complicated. So we come to question number two. And what you need to ask yourself is, what is my niche? For me, I have already defined that my niche in photography is food. And I have not narrowed it down further to like any particular kind of photography or any particular kind of food. Now, I'm a commercial and editorial photographer, which is why I keep my niche as broad as photography and as narrow as food. So that's pretty much like food is my specialization, and that's where it is for me. But let's say you're a food blogger. Now that opens a lot of opportunities for you to get really specific and to really define your niche, because your niche is also tied to who you are as a person. Now, your cooking style, it might be inspired by your grandma's recipes or by the trip that you took around the world or by your, initiative to control climate change and to reduce the consumption of meat. It could be anything. Your style could be inspired by anything. It makes you who you are, and that's what makes your cooking style and your recipes what they are. So, picking a niche that chimes with who we are and what we practice is very, very important. For example, one of my clients in Singapore is a prominent salad chain. Like they have a ton of salad stores. They have fabulous salads, and many of which are vegan. And I would be there, I would be shooting for them. We would meet a couple of times in a month. I was doing their menu boards, and just all their photography needs was coming from me. And I was working with these incredible and very innovative vegan ingredients. And it was fantastic, but it was only recently that I was chatting with the owner, and only recently I learned that she has been a vegan herself for the last 25 years. And in that moment, I was just like, oh my goodness, could it be any more on brand? Like literally, she is a vegan and her business is all about healthy eating. And she's bringing all this wonderful vegan ingredients to her menu. Like she is literally on brand. It couldn't be any different. Like goodness. So when we pick our niche, we pick it based on our style, our background, our lifestyle, our personality. It has to connect back to who we are as individuals, even outside of our business and hobby. And that is what makes a powerful brand, because it really comes and it stems out of who we are as people and what we stand for, what we believe in, what we practice. That is important. So once we know what our niche is, we really need to now start getting into the real nitty-gritty, the real details here. So we were really broad in the beginning and we asked ourselves, who am I? And we gave ourselves a one-line definition. Then we went into niche and we dug a little bit deeper and we asked, what is it that inspires our style? Where is this coming from? What is it about us? And, we start narrowing down our niche. And then we ask ourselves, what is my tone of voice? So that's the question number 3 that we ask ourselves. What is my tone of voice? We all have personalities. We all have different style of personalities. Someone is easygoing, some are intense, some are emotional, some like to have fun, some don't, some are quirky, some are reserved. Like everybody is different. To create an image, we need to bring our personality to what we create. And I don't just say this particularly with respect to our cooking or our photos, but literally everything that we do. For example, okay, I'm going to talk about myself a little bit now. So for example, I define myself as a hardworking, passionate, fun-loving, humorous person. I thrive on my childhood memories, and most of my personal work is inspired or drawn from my childhood experiences. Now, if you have seen my Instagram page, you know the kind of photography I create. But also with every photo is a caption. And that caption is a story. I feel like so many of you are smiling right now. But anyway, I'm going to just keep going on. So, well, yeah, that caption is a story. And every story is either hilarious or it shares an unusual experience, a learning, or an inspiration. I love to write about what I feel, the way I feel, what I think, the way I think. And so many people love that side to my posts. It resonates with them. They connect with it. They connect with me through that. And photos are obviously wonderful, but reading captions gives my audience an insight into my personality. Those posts, with the photo and the write-ups, they are a huge part of my brand because they create the perceived image of my services and my business. So my photos are bright and vibrant, and that's because I love to laugh. I love to live life to the fullest. But I'm also intense, and that's why I work hard. But then I love good humor, which is reflected in my writing. But what is also reflected are my memories of my childhood. This is all, it just gels together. It's all just embedded in one big thing. It's just all together. And for anyone who has met me in person after seeing my work on social media has not one bit been surprised at who I am in front of them. In fact, they've said I'm exactly who they thought I would be. Now, I don't know, maybe I should be a little bit more of a surprising personality, but clearly I'm not. But that is branding, my friend. I carry my personality to my business and I tie them together to bring out the uniqueness and the cohesiveness. Now, we want to be our own walking brand. The tone of voice of our business should be our personality. It makes it so much easier, and it's completely effortless to bring yourself in your 100% true self to your clients and customer. All it takes is for you to know thyself. All right, so after all of that, we really started thinking about our tone of voice, who we are as individuals, what is our personality. We have defined our business in one line. We have come up with a narrowed down niche, which is inspired or influenced by our past or our background or our interest. Then we have our tone of voice. So these are the three things we talked about. And now we come down to the fourth one. And for me, the fourth one is probably the toughest, but to me, it is one of the most important ones because it truly translates to how I conduct my business. So, question number 4 that you need to ask yourself to build a brand is, what are my values? It's really tough. I mean, this is tough. It was very tough for me. But what it helps when we define our values is that it helps us to define our target customers or our clients. And then it becomes very easy to be aligned with their values, the values of our customers and clients. And it then becomes easy to do business with them because it becomes easier for them to trust you. They feel that you get them because you share the same values. So it is very important to just sit back for a minute, think about the things that you believe in, why you support something and why you don't, and then translate that as a business value. So let me give you an example. Like for me, I have a couple of such values. All right. So as an individual, I stand for gender equality. And you know how the world is today. So given the bias in the world, I support women-owned businesses in my business. Now, that's not very equal, but of course, given the bias, to bring it back to equal, we need to support women, and that's what I do. So women-owned businesses have a special place for me, and I align with them on so many levels that whenever I'm doing business with them, it just clicks because I know what I need to bring to their business because it's so dear to me, because I stand for that cause, because I know where they are coming from, because this is all to actually end up, for the gender equality that we want to see in the world. I know it sounds a bit like, ooh, but no, really, it starts from the root, and the root is by supporting. Who do you support as a business? I support women-owned businesses. That's how I go. All right. Now, the second value for me, something you might not know about me, is that I am a fitness junkie. I work out like crazy, and I am very intrigued by fitness videos. Really, like that is my downtime, watching fitness videos. I know some people are quirky, I told you. Anyhow, so I am a fitness junkie, and that is why I'm drawn to brands that stand for sustainability and healthy eating, which is why I work with the salad brand, right? So even though I'm not an activist of any darn sort, I only work with ethical businesses. And healthy eating can, businesses can have very unhealthy practices on how they bring healthy eating to the table. So I make sure I do my homework. I make sure that I know what the business, where it's coming from, what is their practice, how are they built. And that is why any kind of paid business, even a collaboration, does not happen until I have done my background check, I have done my reading, I have done my homework to make sure that whosoever is aligned with my business is aligned with my values first. That is how important it is, because we need to have a strong foundation for our brand, and our brand is honestly, it is built on values. People will associate themselves with your values. Clients will associate themselves with your business as long as your values are solid and they are meaningful and they come from a real cause and something that you personally stand for. So basically, when I talk about my own values, that's who I am. I stand for gender equality. I stand for healthy eating. That's who I am. And that's how it ties into my business. Now, defining your values is essential to create an authentic image, which is true to yourself, because your clients buy on trust. I mean, if you walk the talk, if your business reflects what you believe in, that's all that you need. That's what you need. All right. So for me, these are really the 4 big questions that really begin to make a strong foundation for a brand. The next step is, of course, to define who we create for, who is our ideal client, what we achieve, how we do it, It takes us, it kind of segues into this whole thing of creating an elevator pitch and so forth. That to me is the next step of building a brand. But the first step really comes from you and knowing thyself. So to me, understanding those 4 things about myself, they really helped me a big deal in creating a brand that is so unique to who I am. When I'm creating content or I'm pitching to clients, or even if I'm in a business meeting, I always remind myself about who I am as a person, who I am as a business, what are my values, and then I carry my 100% authentic true self with me as my brand. So it's the same with you. Once you have answered these questions for yourself, you know yourself better. And only if you know who you are, can you bring that side to your business and make it visible to your brand so that it becomes a perceived image. That's how we begin to become a brand in ourselves. So if you're just starting out, or you're at a point where you feel like you need to create that image, just go back and think about these 4 things and reflect them in everything, like literally everything that you do. Once you know the answers, it's actually quite effortless, because all it takes is to be yourself. And that is how we start to build a brand. So if you enjoyed this episode, guys, please do subscribe. If you think a friend might benefit from it, please share with them. And I would so appreciate if you could please leave a review on whichever platform you might be tuning in from. Thank you for listening, guys. This episode was very close to my heart. So thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week with another episode. Until then, bye bye.